Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up the prestige aspect of it, because that's actually what I want to go into next. Because there's a sort of a section here where they, I guess this is getting more into, I guess, personal jabs in your direction.
Yeah, they do that a lot too.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's the thing is, if you're going to do that, have the goods. Like, be right. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, do it. Just be right. Like, do the work. Like, don't be lazy and incompetent. But anyway, yeah, proceed.
Right. And it's just, I think it's so funny that you say that apologists argue from prestige and really put this high value on prestige because of who's going to be making this next argument.
This is one of my criticisms of Carrier, and this, people might think this is like I'm being like too unreasonable here, but like, if you got the truth, if you have the undeniable facts on your side, why not go to get published through Oxford, Princeton? Why can't you do it? Like, why can't Carrier go to those publishers and get his book out? Is there a reason why? Did they blacklist you? I'm just saying, like, when Litwa or Ehrman publish their books, they go right to the major leagues, Oxford, Princeton.
Why are you going to some? It's not hard to get. It's also not hard to get stuff published, and you can have all sorts of radical views and have them get published. I have documented all sorts of mythicist material published.
You do it all the time. That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, I've also found aside from me, and I do not have any. I have no credentials in New Testament literature. It doesn't matter. I have a BA in creative writing.
But you're doing the work. You're doing the research. That's what matters.
If you put in the work and you put in the effort, you can get it published.
But do you want me to tell you why I think he's not doing it? Because when you say that Philo writes about a Jesus, that angel, that's not going to fly at a real academic press. Sorry, just isn't.
In fairness to Sheffield, also to Sheffield Phoenix Press, from what I have been told down the line is that there were some troubles going on behind the scenes.
I believe it.
I don't know the specifics, and I know I and others have attempted to email them about this. Anyways.
You know, it's I find that last little part right there where Neil is like, oh, I believe there were troubles at Sheffield Phoenix, when the big Richard Carrier video that he put out, he actually cut the piece where he was shit talking your, on the historicity of Jesus and its peer review process. He cut all that out because he was like, I don't have the information for that. And now he's like, oh, I totally believe it. Hook, line, and sinker.
Also, I wanted to apologize to you publicly. We already did privately, but I wanted to publicly apologize for questioning your peer review material. And I don't know anything about that. I got information from multiple people who think that there was something going on with their peer review material. It's never really, it's led me down different directions. That's been nothing. So until somebody on their own can prove that on their own, I'm not touching that anymore. I'm not going to address that anymore. I'm not going to talk about it. I even took it out of my video because I really don't know anything about that. I don't like speaking on things that I don't know about and just guessing and thinking, wondering if it's true or not because someone told me. That's just not how I operate.
Right. Yeah.
I took that out of the video.
That's unfortunately Neil's shtick, right? Is that he forgets things that he said 5 minutes earlier. That I caught him doing that a lot. I caught him doing that live when we did the reconciliation video that was supposed to clearing the air, I think was the video, where mid argument in there, I catch him doing this, like forgetting a thing he said like 10 minutes ago in the same conversation. He forms a belief and he sticks with that belief. And then if he's ever shown evidence the belief is false or not believable, might agree at that moment. But then 10 minutes later, a day later, a week later, he's back at the Mott and no longer, back at the Bailey rather than defending the Mott. Like he forgets, right? He just sticks with his weird beliefs and he doesn't have that real respect for evidence. Like the evidence doesn't really move him. It might move him for a moment, but then he'll forget that evidence convinced him he was wrong. And then he'd go back to what he was saying. And so he does that weirdly a lot, like to the problem that I actually worried about that. Like it's very strange for someone to act that way. I do have planned when I get back to like write a response piece that covers this. To be honest with you though, although I didn't see Godless Engineer's video, I did see a draft of the script for it, and I'm pretty sure he's spot on in most of that. So I don't know
Which
if you
video are you
watched
talking
the
about?
video. The one where he goes into the Philo stuff. He might have gone into other things too, but
no, I think that was a complete flop, in my opinion.
I like the Philo thing because that was the one other thing that I wanted to stick to as an example.
Yeah, let's do it. You said that GE's video was all right. I'm interested to hear how you spin this.
Okay, so this is interesting. That what you just did right now is actually interesting. I've seen you do this several times. You've done it a few times in this video, and you did it before. You did it in your video when you showed a clip of me talking about Philo.
Yeah,
and then you talked about it. You have this tendency to change the meaning of what people say. I actually very clearly didn't say I think everything in Godless's video is correct. I said most everything or something similar like that. I made a qualified. And this is the thing, is I'm very careful usually with my choice of words.
Sure.
Not always, I screw up sometimes, but usually I'm very careful. So but yeah, you're right. That's good to point that out. That's all bogus rumors. So that was all like fake rumors made by shit talkers based on no evidence whatsoever. And so it's very irresponsible of like Hansen to actually just believe this and say this, and like rather than pointing out and say, actually, those are just unverified rumors. She even says, I tried to verify them and failed. In truth, the reality is Sheffield Phoenix has been so supportive that they actually are now publishing this year a corrected copy of On the Historicity of Jesus. It'll correct all the typos that I've documented and a few other minor, easily fixed errors through it. So it'll be the corrected edition. And they've already given me the go-ahead to produce a second edition. That will have more substantial changes, and that will probably put through peer review again, at least I would hope. That's what I'm assuming they'll do. That I haven't had time to work on, but that will happen eventually, but they've requested it. So this idea that there's some sort of like con going on with Sheffield is completely bogus. There's no basis for that. And there's even someone attempted to do this, what Hansen says, like try to email them, try to harass my publisher, literally harassing my publisher about this. And my publisher had to write them an email. I actually have that email published. It's in an article on the Flaviana, or I just article about the Atwillians, I can't remember the name of that article, but look for post Flaviana in my blog and you'll find the article, because it's about this pro Atwill guy who tried to like denigrate the peer review and basically got a talking to from my publisher. But so it's ridiculous to even suggest this, right? But what I find more alarming in that clip isn't that last little stupid bit, was that Neil tried to make an argument that Hansen immediately repudiated, but didn't want to like step on it the way she should have done. And he also made the point about no academic this wouldn't be taken seriously. The Philo, it's more importantly for people who don't know what we're talking about. There's Philo of Alexandria, a first century pre-Christian or contemporary Jewish theologian who's writing from Egypt, wrote a ton of books, and he wrote even more than we have, but he wrote about the passage in Zechariah 6 verse 12, and he talks about the figure in that passage who's called Anatole, which means east or rising. And he says the rising one, that one he identifies it as this particular Logos angel that he talks about a lot elsewhere. That's the firstborn son of God and all of these other attributes. The angel is definitely the angel that Christians thought Jesus was, because they assigned Jesus all the same attributes. There's something like 9 to 12 attributes that are identical between Jesus and this angel that Philo talks about. So they definitely thought that they were the same angel. But the one thing that I've proposed, and I make an argument for it on the historicity of Jesus, is that Philo even thinks that the person named Jesus in that passage is the Anatole, is the angel he's talking about, which means that he thought that there was a passage that identified one of the many names of this angel as Jesus. So that the angel named Jesus already pre-existed Jesus, right? Our Jesus. Now, I make an argument for that. I don't say it's like an established fact. I just make an argument for it. I think the argument is strong, but that's me. So anyway, Chrissy Hansen has done a lot of attempts to like debunk this, but doing it poorly, doing the same strategy, straw manning, leaving evidence out, and then arguing backwards. She does all of that stuff with this. But one of the things that and she should know this is false because I've written on it, and she must have known this by now. When he says that when the host says, Neil, that no academic press would publish this, it wouldn't take it seriously. It's been published under peer review 4 times now by 4 different presses. Well, 3 different presses, because Brill is one of them that's published 2 of the entries. Brill is a major international prestige. It's very prestigious. It's right up there with Oxford and Princeton. Lataster's book, the mythicist book, which funnily they suddenly forget exists, was peer reviewed and published by Brill. So he's thinking, like, why can't I get it published by Oxford or Princeton? Well, Lataster got it published by Brill, so why do I need it published by Oxford or Princeton? If we're going to go by this argument that only stuff published by Oxford and Princeton is to be believed.
Well, and right. do you notice the sort of the moving of the goalpost? Because there's been a progression, because it's like, oh, nobody will publish this. There's no peer-reviewed academic stuff about this. And it's like, oh, well, now we've got 2 of these. Well, yeah, but they're not Oxford or Princeton. So,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's moving the goalpost. It's a classic fallacy. It's bullshit. And also the use of Ehrman there, which this is where their own argument comes to bite them. Because very conspicuously, Ehrman not only didn't publish Did Jesus Exist, his only book defending historicity, he not only didn't publish it with Oxford or Princeton or any prestigious academic publisher, he didn't publish it under peer review at all. It's just a pot market book, right? So we have Carrier and Lataster, who are peer-reviewed books by major biblical studies presses. Sheffield Phoenix is not trivial. Brill is super major. Like, if prestige matters to you, well, they've nailed it. Like, Brill is it. But historicity, 0. They can't get it published. Are we supposed to argue, well, they can't get it published? They're getting blacklisted. They're getting, like, they're failing. They're failing their peer review. Historicity failed peer review. No, we're not going to make that argument. It hasn't done it because no one's done it. Like, no one's just done it, right? Ehrman didn't do it.